Shaka Zulu. Shaka Zulu was one of Africa's most legendary rulers and the founder of the Zulu Empire in the early 19th century. Born around 1787, Shaka rose from rejection and hardship to become a military genius who completely transformed warfare in southern Africa. He redesigned weapons like the short stabbing spear, the Ikowa, replaced loose formations with tight close combat tactics, and created the famous buffalo horn formation that overwhelmed enemy armies. Under his leadership, the Zulu nation expanded rapidly, uniting dozens of clans into a single powerful kingdom. Shaka was known for extreme discipline. Soldiers trained barefoot, ran long distances, and could march for days without stopping. His strategic mind, fierce charisma, and bold reforms made him one of the greatest African military leaders of all time. Though his reign was intense and often brutal, Shaka Zulu's legacy remains enormous. He changed the political map of southern Africa, established the foundations of the Zulu nation, and became a symbol of strength, leadership, and innovation in African history. Jaja of Opobo. Jaja of Opobo was one of Africa's most remarkable self-made leaders. A man who rose from enslavement to become a king, a billionaire-level merchant, and a fierce defender of his people. Born in Igboland around 1821 and sold into slavery as a child, Jaja was taken to Bonny, where he worked his way up through determination, intelligence, and unmatched business skill. By adulthood, he became the head of the influential Anapopo House and later broke away to found his own city-state, Opobo. From there, he built a powerful trading empire that controlled the palm oil routes of the Niger Delta. Jaja negotiated directly with British merchants, refused unfair deals, and made Opobo rich and independent. His strength challenged British economic control, and when he refused to surrender his trading rights, the British lured him onto a ship under false diplomacy, arrested him, and exiled him to the Caribbean. Even in exile, Jaja remained dignified and respected. He died on his way back to Opobo in 1891 under suspicious circumstances. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela was one of the most iconic freedom fighters in world history, an anti-apartheid revolutionary whose courage, sacrifice, and leadership reshaped South Africa forever. Born in 1918 in the village of Mvezo, Mandela grew from a rural boy into a lawyer, activist, and founding member of the ANC Youth League. He fought against apartheid, the brutal system of racial segregation that oppressed black South Africans for decades. Mandela championed peaceful protest at first, but when the apartheid regime responded with violence, he helped form Umkhonto we Sizwe, a resistance movement aimed at sabotaging government structures, not harming civilians, but crippling the oppressive system. For this, Mandela was arrested and sentenced to life imprisonment. He spent 27 years in prison, enduring isolation, hard labor, and harsh conditions. Yet he refused to compromise his beliefs. His resilience turned him into a global symbol of justice. When he was finally released in 1990, Mandela led negotiations that ended apartheid and ushered in a new democratic era. In 1994, he became South Africa's first black president, promoting reconciliation instead of revenge. His leadership helped heal a divided nation. Mandela's legacy is enormous: forgiveness over hatred, courage over fear, and the belief that one person's determination can transform an entire country. Hubert Macaulay. Hubert Macaulay is widely celebrated as the father of Nigerian nationalism, the man who lit the first spark of resistance against colonial rule and inspired future generations to demand independence. Born in 1864 in Lagos to a well-educated family, Macaulay grew up at a time when the British were tightening their control over Nigeria. Instead of accepting this, he became one of the earliest voices to challenge colonial injustice. Trained as a civil engineer, Macaulay returned from England only to discover corruption, racism, and exploitation within the colonial system. He quickly transformed into a fierce activist, journalist, and political organizer. Through his newspaper, the Lagos Daily News, he exposed abuses by colonial officers, defended ordinary Nigerians in courts, and used his writing to rally public opinion. He founded the Nigerian National Democratic Party, NNDP, the first political party in Nigeria, and pushed for Nigerian participation in government. Later, he became a key figure in the formation of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, NCNC, alongside Nnamdi Azikiwe, shaping Nigeria's political future. Macaulay was bold, outspoken, and unafraid. He fought against unfair taxes, land seizures, and colonial oppression. His speeches electrified crowds, and his activism helped unite various ethnic groups under a common goal: freedom. Hubert Macaulay died in 1946, before Nigeria achieved independence, but his ideas, courage, and political groundwork paved the road that the nation eventually followed. Today, he stands as a symbol of resistance, intellect, and the birth of Nigerian nationalism. Moremi Ajasoro. Moremi Ajasoro was a legendary Yoruba heroine from Ile-Ife, celebrated for her courage, intelligence, and extraordinary sacrifice. When mysterious forest raiders repeatedly attacked Ile-Ife, the people were helpless. Determined to save her kingdom, Moremi offered herself to the gods and infiltrated the enemy's camp by pretending to be one of them. From inside, she discovered their secrets and learned how Ile-Ife could finally defeat them. Her plan worked, but when she returned home, the gods demanded a heartbreaking sacrifice: her only son. With unshakable devotion, Moremi agreed, giving up what she loved most to protect her people. Moremi is remembered today as a symbol of bravery, selflessness, and a mother who became a hero by putting her nation above herself. Queen Nzinga. Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba, modern-day Angola, was one of Africa's most formidable leaders, a master strategist, diplomat, and warrior who fought Portuguese colonization for more than 30 years. Born in 1583, Nzinga grew up in a royal family where intelligence, political skill, and bravery were essential. She learned the arts of diplomacy, military tactics, and even foreign languages, preparing her for the battlefield and the negotiation table. Nzinga first gained fame during a tense diplomatic meeting with the Portuguese governor. When they refused to give her a chair, hoping to force her to kneel, she ordered one of her attendants to kneel on all fours so she could sit as an equal. That moment set the tone for her rule. Nzinga bowed to no one. As queen, she formed alliances, led armies, launched guerrilla campaigns, and moved her entire kingdom to avoid capture. She offered refuge to escaping slaves and turned them into soldiers, creating one of the strongest resistance forces in Central Africa. Her leadership frustrated the Portuguese for decades, delaying their expansion and inspiring generations of African freedom fighters. Nzinga ruled into her 80s and died peacefully in 1663, unbroken, undefeated, and still queen. Today, she is remembered as a symbol of courage, resilience, and the refusal to surrender in the face of overwhelming foreign power. Mansa Musa. Mansa Musa was the legendary 14th century emperor of the Mali Empire and is widely regarded as the richest person in history. Ruling from 1312 to 1337, he controlled vast gold mines, thriving trade routes, and one of the largest empires in West Africa. His fame exploded in 1324 when he embarked on a grand pilgrimage to Mecca with tens of thousands of people, camels carrying gold, and lavish gifts. He spent so much gold along the way that he caused temporary inflation in the cities he passed through, something no ruler had ever done. Beyond words, Musa transformed Mali into a global center of knowledge. He built mosques, libraries, and universities, especially in Timbuktu, attracting scholars, architects, and thinkers from across Africa and the Middle East. Mansa Musa's legacy is one of wealth, education, and empire building, making him one of the most iconic figures in African and world history. Imhotep. Imhotep was one of the greatest geniuses in ancient history, an Egyptian polymath who lived around 2650 BCE. He served as a physician, architect, engineer, priest, and scholar, becoming one of the first recorded multi-talented masterminds in the world. He is best known as the architect of the Step Pyramid of Djoser, the earliest large-scale stone structure on Earth, and a revolutionary achievement that transformed architecture forever. As a physician, Imhotep was so skilled that later generations worshipped him as a god of medicine and healing. His writings, medical knowledge, and inventions influenced ancient science for centuries. In many ways, Imhotep was Africa's first great scientist, an intellectual titan whose brilliance still echoes through history.